Hello and welcome to my video blog, Beyond the Smile. The purpose of this video series is to talk about my steps that I went through during my darkest hours to help me avoid depression. We have heard so much on the media and personal real life stories of people who are losing their battle with depression. And depression is real. You will hear me say that often, but depression is real, and I went through it. But what everyone else saw was my smile. Is that when they saw me smiling. And so that is why this video series is called Beyond the Smile. I will talk about what was going on beyond my smile. I will talk about the steps that I went through when I was smiling, just so that you guys actually got to see me get to that smiling place. But before I start with any of my tips and any of my day-to-day things, I want to do a couple housekeeping things, or just things of, here is an intro to this blog series. Number one, I am not a professional in any kind of mental health or depression, in the depression or social work or anything like that. I am just a person who went through an unfortunate, traumatic experience that sprung me into a depression that I didn't even understand when I was going through it. And I'm just here to tell my story and to share my story. So I implore upon you, if you see yourself in a dark place and you see that you are there too often or too long, or you're just not even sure, seek professional help. Talk to a counselor. I will tell you that is exactly what I did when everything happened. And even after I felt like, oh, I'm okay now, I started to realize I was slipping back into it. So I went and saw another professional. I went back and started seeing someone again. So it is important. Seek professional help. This video series is not a substitution for speaking to a psychiatrist, to a sociologist, to a psychologist, to a professional. I can't stress that enough. I will put information below to a professional that I know, a doctor that I know that can help you through traumatic experiences. That is actually her specialty, Dr. Kia Fisher. I will provide her information attached, but I'm going to stress it again. Seek professional help. As I mentioned, these are my real life stories. This is not what could have, would have, should have, maybe. No, I will be very transparent. I will be open. I will be honest. I will answer questions. If you have any questions, send me a question. If there's a particular topic that you just kind of wondered about, send it to me. I will be transparent. This only works if I'm transparent. I went through, there are several types of depression. Let me go back. For me, there is that clinical depression. There's that clinical depression where you have some kind of chemical imbalance that causes you to be depressed. For me, I had a situational depression. For those of you who don't know me, here's a little backdrop of my story. 6 years ago, September 19th, 2012, while I was 4.5 months pregnant with my daughter, I lost my husband and my son in a fire. Of course, in a house fire. Of course, that is earth-shattering. It changes your every day. It changes how you see the world, how you see life. It changes how you then navigate through life. I then had to move forward and give birth to my child without my family being there. And it changed my whole world. And to see me back then, or at least the view that I thought people had of me, is that, oh, she's doing good. Not knowing or not seeing what was happening behind closed doors. I can say that I was never at the point where I actually wanted to commit suicide, but I can say that there were many days that I would have been happy if I got the news that I had some really horrible terminal illness. I welcomed that. And there's a very, very small step from wishing that to losing the battle of depression. So the purpose of this series is to encourage other people who are teetering on those lines of depression to understand that you're not alone, to help people who may have gone through something traumatic. I will offer you my suggestions and the things that I went through and the steps that I learned that I had to do through the years based on my situation. But I believe that most of these will be valuable for people who may not have experienced something traumatic, but they just find themselves in a place where they're struggling. They're depressed. They don't understand why. These will just be the tips that I share. Some of the things that I share will be things that they're really not complicated. It's not rocket science. Too many times we confuse ease of something, the difficulty of something, with the complexity of something. There are many things that the reality is it's not easy to do. It's going to be very difficult to do. It's going to be a struggle to do. But the reality is it's not complex. There's no massive formula that needs to be worked out and gone through to get you to the end result. And what I found is that a lot of days you just have to stop and understand that I just have to move forward. I just have to do it. I just have to, not to, especially with everything that's going on in media, not to take Nike's slogan, but sometimes you just have to actually do the thing. And so you'll hear that a lot of the steps and a lot of the things that I talk about, it's not rocket science. It's not some really difficult, oh, that was really deep and complex. No, they're simple steps that sometimes we may not even think about are required, that I went through on an ongoing basis and just became deliberate about them. And so the purpose of me sharing them is just to let someone else know that even though it seems dark, even though literally when you open up your eyes in the morning, the sky looks dark, even though there's not a cloud in the sky, that you're not the only one that's been there, that you're not the only one that's going through this, and that tomorrow will be a brighter day. Or that today, here are some things that you need to do right now while it's dark, to make the sun shine again just where you're standing. And it may not shine, it's forever. You may have to do this step a couple times. You may have to go through these things several times, but the sun will still shine. You will see the brightness again. I will also give the disclaimer that I am a Christian. So if you're not, I introduce Jesus to you, but more than that, the majority of my steps will be based on my faith and my experience with them. Not all of them. Some of them are just silly antidote things that I realize, look, this is what you got to do. But I will say that for me, my faith was a huge factor in it. So as I'm going through this, please understand that I will not wash down my story or the way I made it through and leave that part out. If you're not comfortable with that, again, I introduce you to Jesus. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, hit me up. I will do them as often as time permits, but this has been a long time coming. I will try to keep them all in the 10 to 15 minute time frame. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Coming soon will be my website. The website will be called Beyond Jazzy. And it will just talk about all the things that happened that was beyond me, that was beyond my experience, was beyond anything that I could have controlled. It was a but God experience, or beyond the smile, beyond what you could see and where you could watch me, whether it's coming to and from church, or whether it was just caring for my child, or whatever you saw going on. Beyond that smile, there was a whole lot of other things that was happening. And there was a whole lot of things that it took me to get to what you saw. And I would venture to say that for many of us out here, that there's a whole lot going on beyond the smile that you see. So my prayer, my hope is that these videos will save someone else we don't recognize that beyond that beautiful smile that they're showing us every week, that we need to reach out to each other, that we need to shower each other with love and let them know that we're here for you, that if you're not here, somebody would miss you, that if tomorrow you decided that you cannot fight this fight anymore, please understand this is what you're leaving behind. So, see everyone soon, and I look forward to sharing my story with you.